important is who you are on the inside. Good present. I love it. Honestly, I don't like thinking about it. Okay, so I know it feels like a little too soon to come out with another almost 30 diaries, but hear me out. The day that I'm filming this is 30 days before my 30th birthday. I only realized this morning, and after this episode of my almost 30 diaries, I only have time to fit in one more almost 30 diaries before I turn 30 and this series graduates into my 30 diaries, or whatever series that I'm gonna title it. But I think that's so crazy. I'm literally almost 30. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Janelle. I'm 29 years old, obviously, and this is my almost 30 diaries where we basically talk about anything having to do with being in your late 20s to early 30s. In the last episode, we talked about friendship, and I think the one before that, we talked about starting new things. I don't think I was as clear in the first episode what I was going to talk about, but I think generally I talked about not being afraid to start new things later on in life. Today I kind of wanted to talk about aging, and not just physical aging. I wanted to talk about things that age us, like our sense of humor, our fashion choices, our ideas on life. And I wanted to talk about this because this is a topic that I feel personally connected to, and I'll explain later why, but I also feel like a lot of people in this age group are concerned about it. Most of all, I feel like people are concerned about like physical aging, but there are some things that I did want to talk about that have to do with other types of aging, so to speak. And at the same time, I'm going to take you along with me in a week in my life. So welcome to another installment of my almost 30 diaries. I'm so happy that you're here right now, and let's just have an awesome week together. Almost forgot to show you guys my new shirt, but if you watched the last episode of my almost 30 diaries, you would have seen that my friend Teresa gifted me this t-shirt.
Bella, where the hell have you been, Loca?
I think it was supposed to be a birthday present, but yeah, very good present. I love it. This is one of my favorite meals that you make. Good morning, everyone. Ooh, I need to get my coffee. Hold on one sec. So I just filmed like 20 minutes worth of stuff, and at the beginning of that clip I talked about how I kept the beautification filter on and I didn't like it, so I turned it off. But then I realized as I was looking at it, I still had it on. For some reason, like, it didn't turn it off when I tried to turn it off. So I'm re-recording this, and this time I'm gonna like do my makeup at the same time because I just don't have time to record another thing of me just sitting and talking. So we're just gonna do our makeup at the same time. Also, by the way, it's gonna be really hot today, so I'm wearing this tank top slash sports bra right now. Today I'm planning to go to my cousin's house because she can't really cook for herself, so I figured I would bring some of the leftovers that we had from last night and we could eat lunch together and maybe just chat a bit. It's totally unplanned, but I wanted her to try the kimchi jjigae that Alex made because we had a lot. So I might as well bring her some of the leftovers. My cousin is one of those people that I mentioned in the last almost 30 diaries. I didn't say anything about her, I just mentioned she was like one of my closest friends. I would even go so far as to consider her a little sister. And I was thinking this morning how like she used to come to me for advice, and she used to like admire all the things that I used to do, all the things that I used to be interested in. And now she's really become her own person, and I honestly started to feel like that was a sign of aging. When the people around you who used to come to you for advice and stuff stop coming for advice and like start to do their own thing and not really rely on you anymore, I feel like that's a sign of aging. I guess more so for them than for you. But you could be that person that used to rely on someone else for advice, but now you just like understand how the world works and how you're gonna deal with situations on your own. So that's one of the like non-physical signs of aging that I feel like that there is. And I did actually write down a list of all the things that would be signs of aging. Not all of this stuff is physical, and this isn't a comprehensive list. This is just like the things that I thought about off the top of my head. But the most obvious one is like physical aging, where you start to get wrinkles and your body starts to not do what it used to do in your early 20s. The next one that I wrote down was beauty standards, and obviously like some of these don't matter, but they are the things that I feel like are signs of aging. Nothing wrong with any of this stuff, they're just signs of aging. But what I meant by this is like sometimes we don't really update our beauty regimen, our makeup routine and whatnot. I sometimes feel like my makeup routine is kind of outdated. Once you have a solid routine down, you kind of don't want to change that, so you end up just like not researching anymore and seeing all like the new beauty techniques, all the new products and stuff. The next thing that I wrote down was fashion. When we were younger, we used to wear skinny jeans, and now everybody's wearing mom jeans and baggy pants and stuff. So definitely if you're still wearing skinny jeans, it's gonna age you. The next thing that I wrote is non-physical, and I wrote down sense of humor. You ever see those moms on Facebook that post like the Minion memes? I feel like that's probably gonna be us in the future. Not even gonna lie. Some of my 30-year-old friends are sending me stuff on Instagram Reels, because I don't have a TikTok, I just have Instagram. But they're sending me stuff that probably would have been funny in like 2015 or something. Nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of a huge sign of aging when your sense of humor doesn't align anymore with like a younger generation's sense of humor. And then lastly, I wrote down ideas on life. I feel like this one is the most problematic one. All the other stuff that I wrote down doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if your sense of humor is different. It doesn't matter if you have an outdated sense of fashion. Like, none of this matters except your ideas on life. I feel like this could be a good thing and a bad thing, but if it's a bad thing, it's a really bad thing. And I'm not gonna get super into it, but I feel like our age group is on the cusp between having progressive thoughts and having like conservative thoughts. I don't want to say conservative, but like just like outdated thoughts. We definitely grew up during a time where media was not inclusive at all. So I feel like growing up during that time makes you think that we're just like trying to be woke or whatever, but that's not really the case. I'm not gonna get super into that. I just think it's problematic if you have outdated ideas on life. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with aging in these aspects of your life except maybe the last one. And also, this is not like a huge comprehensive list. Maybe I'll think of more specific examples later on, but these are like the things off of the top of my head that I think are signs that a person is aging. I think nowadays the physical aging aspects of us are not as pronounced because of social media and stuff. We have access to Instagram Reels and TikToks and YouTube videos and stuff that can help us to stay up to date on fashion trends and beauty trends. I know that it's only like recently that everybody started to use sunscreen, and I think that's amazing, and I think that is one of the reasons why we as 30-year-olds look younger than older generations who were in their 30s. So it's not as much of an issue now as it was before. I kind of feel like sometimes people don't really come to terms with their age. Like, I feel like at this point in your life, you kind of it kind of starts to hit you that you're not getting any younger. It's obvious that like we're all gonna get old someday, but I feel like this is the time in your life where it really starts to hit you, and at times it can be a little bit jarring. Once you see that wrinkle, once you see that gray hair, it like really starts to mess you up. I kind of think that nobody really talks about this much, but I personally think that it takes a little bit of self-reflection to come to terms with your own aging. I feel like even though society is a lot more inclusive now than it was before, because of social media and everything, there's still like a huge emphasis on beauty standards, and that still sucks for people mentally because some of these things are like really unattainable, unachievable. I had to pause for a moment and gather my thoughts because I felt like I was kind of rambling a little bit, but what I wanted to say is that there's nothing wrong with aging itself. A lot of people talk about aging gracefully or whatever, which I feel like is not really a well-defined term, but I feel like there is so much more to life than just the physical aspects. A way that I've personally come to terms with my own aging is to remember that I want to take care of my body, I want to take care of myself and my well-being, rather than just looking prettier or dressing nicer or whatever. For me, it is important to look my best all the time, and it's also probably good for me to look good just because of like social media and stuff. That's just, you know, how I prefer it to be. But none of us are getting any younger, and I just don't feel like it's good for us mentally to be focused so much on our physical appearance, especially as we get older and we have no control over like what happens to our own bodies. We just have to focus on taking care of ourselves and being the best version of ourselves that we can be. And at the same time, it's important to focus on other things that are not physical. For example, I talked about like in the first episode of my Almost 30 Diaries of like learning something new. I feel like nobody talks about this, but you should always be striving to learn something new or striving to like learn more about other things, because if you're not like trying to learn something new, like what else is there? I've already talked about that before, but in order to come to terms with like your aging self, it's not gonna be as pronounced as it will be like possibly in our 40s or 50s or whatever, but I feel like right now is when it starts to hit us, and we have to be proactive about what we tell ourselves. If you're pointing out to yourself your own flaws, like for example, oh, I'm starting to get wrinkles, or oh, I'm starting to get like gray hairs and stuff. What does it matter? Like, who cares if you're starting to look older? What's more important is who you are on the inside and your purpose in life. In my heart, I know who I am. I know why I started this channel, and I know what my goals are in life, which don't involve anything physical. I do care about my appearance, but I don't put my entire self-worth on my appearance. I think that helps me come to terms with my own aging. Anyway, I think that was the point that I was trying to make. Sometimes I just like ramble on and I go off on certain things, and then I'm like, okay, wait a second, what point am I trying to make in this whole video? Sometimes I get a little bit scatterbrained and my point doesn't come through very clearly, but I feel like it did. I hope it did, at least. So I'm gonna finish my makeup because I've just been like sitting here talking instead of like doing anything, and I will see you all later. Good morning everyone, happy Thursday. So I didn't vlog anything yesterday because I started my period. I decided I wanted to take a break from basically everything yesterday. I didn't do any schoolwork, I didn't vlog at all, so yeah, I really needed that break, honestly. I did want to do some housework yesterday, but I couldn't really do that because I had really bad cramps. But I did get started on some Legos. Alex got gifted like a Lego starship from The Mandalorian, and I really felt like making that for some reason yesterday. So all day yesterday, I basically played with Legos, but at the same time I was listening to an audiobook. So I started Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and so far I like it. I can't remember if she was the one who wrote Beach Read. I think she was. Yeah, so she wrote Beach Read, and I really liked that book, but when I started People We Meet on Vacation, I didn't really like how the character description was for the main character in People We Meet on Vacation, so I kind of got turned off by Emily Henry, but somebody recommended Book Lovers, so I decided to check that out from the library, the audiobook, and I was listening to that while I was playing my Legos. Anyway, since I put off doing basically everything yesterday, today is kind of a busy day. I have to do a lot of schoolwork today, and other than that, there's not really anything that's pressing either. I just have a lot of tedious work to do today, so we're gonna do that, and then later on tonight, Alex and I are gonna watch the new Mission Impossible. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Tom Cruise, but when I saw Top Gun Maverick, that movie was really good. Like, objectively really good movie, even though he was really shitty to the sailors on the ships. But anyway, that's another story. I thought it was funny because I've been doing these tarot readings, not tarot readings, but like I would do a tarot card pull every single day for like the past week or so, and I would incorporate that into my journaling routine. The card that I pulled today is actually a Mission Impossible card, because I have this like movie tarot card deck. I know not everyone's into tarot, but I just like to, you know, pull a card out and see what happens. And today, for some reason, I pulled out the Mission Impossible card, which is so crazy. I don't know, this was like the wildest thing ever. So weird coincidence there, but anyway, I am very excited for today. I already like did my makeup and I'm kind of ready, honestly. I kind of just wanted to wear something just to put myself in the mood to like get stuff done so I don't have to worry about anything later on. But yeah, I'm gonna get started on my schoolwork and I'm just gonna do it. I'm sorry about the glare in my glasses, but this is like the only comfortable position that I could be in right now. But it's actually a week later, and I did film like an outro for this video, but when I was watching it back, I don't feel like I was speaking very comfortably about this topic. To be honest, I think I should have prepared more for talking about this topic because I think it is kind of a touchy subject. Maybe I just have like anxiety over talking about this. Because I look young, I feel like I'm not qualified enough to talk about aging. But at the same time, I do have kind of a fear of aging too. So it's not like I don't like think about these things. So here we are, and I'm gonna chat with you all a week later about this stuff, but whatever. We did end up watching Mission Impossible, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's great. I think he worked really hard on that movie, Tom Cruise. I mean, me and Alex were talking about it last night. We kind of feel like the mission didn't seem impossible. Like, that's the whole point of the movie. But also, it's just part 1, so we'll see how part 2 turns out. It's okay. It's like not great. So that's that update. To go back to my point earlier of what I was saying about like having this fear of aging, I do think sometimes about how I'm gonna eventually be like that old auntie, and honestly it kind of scares me. Honestly, I don't like thinking about it, and that's definitely something that I have to come to terms with eventually. I know that I have like a really good sense of self and I have like a lot of self-confidence, but that doesn't mean that I don't struggle at times when I think about like getting older and stuff. On the outside, sometimes it doesn't seem like I'm that way, but definitely, I still definitely think about it sometimes. So this is something that I personally need to work on, and I'm sorry if I don't like have very good advice on it. I feel like I said some good things the other day when I was doing my makeup, but that doesn't mean that I have everything together myself. Another topic too that I feel like concerns people in their late 20s, early 30s when it comes to aging is also like hitting those milestones. And I know I'm not being specific on what these milestones are, but you probably had an idea in your head of what milestones you should be hitting by the time you're 30. I think some of the normal milestones might be like being in a relationship by your 30 and like having a cool job by the time that you're 30. I feel like these kinds of milestones set up a certain type of expectation that people have for people in their 30s. We kind of like have like a picture in our head of what our 30s should look like, or at least what our lives should look like when we're a little bit older. In this case, in our late 20s, early 30s. When we get older and our lives don't look like how we envision them, sometimes you feel like you're getting older just for the sake of getting older. Like your life is not going anywhere and you're the same person, just older. And I think on top of that picture we had in our head, there's a lot of pressure on us to be that person as well. Maybe we ourselves are putting that pressure on us, or maybe it's society that is putting that pressure on us, but either way, we're still experiencing the pressure of making our lives look a certain way in our 30s. Every time I say society, I'm like, society. Sorry. I think, and I've said this before, like who's to say what our lives are supposed to look like? If we ourselves think that we should have absolutely everything together by the time that we're 30, I honestly don't think that's attainable, especially in today's world where the economy is like not that good and we're unable to buy houses right now. A lot of us are unable to purchase houses nowadays, and before that was a totally doable thing. I feel like there's just a lot of pressure on us to achieve a lot of these goals by the time we age up into our 30s. Sometimes even if you achieve those goals and your life looks exactly how you pictured it, like it checks all of the boxes and you're exactly where you thought you would be at 30, sometimes even then people aren't happy. So I think that the definition of happiness like needs to be redefined. Maybe not put so much emphasis on material things or having your life exactly where you need it, but maybe focusing more on pointing out the things that you're super grateful for, and that way you could actually like cultivate having like a happier life. Yeah, because if you have all the things that you wanted by the time you're 30, but you're not like pointing out how grateful you are, like I feel like then you still wouldn't be happy. So I guess to relate that back to this video, I think it's important to be grateful that we're in our 30s. Even though we're aging, we still made it this far in life. Really unfortunate, but there's some people who don't make it this far. And I think that it's important to be grateful that we're living this life together. We're definitely wiser than when we were in our early 20s. Yeah, maybe we're a little bit more cynical than when we were in our early 20s, but that doesn't mean that we can't cultivate happiness. It definitely takes conscious effort to notice the things that make you happy and to notice when you should be grateful for things, but that just means that anyone could be happy. Like anyone could implement gratefulness in their life and be happy despite what their current situation is. And maybe I'm saying that from a privileged standpoint, but I definitely know that I did not meet any of the milestones that I thought I would hit by the time I was 30. I thought I would be married by now. I thought I would have a house by now. I thought I would have kids by now, but I don't have any of that stuff. I don't even have a job right now. But I feel like I'm still the happiest that I've ever been when I had a job, when I had money, when I had a car, because I don't have a car right now. I'm still happy because I actively try to point out the things that I'm grateful for. And I think that's a really great way to end this video, because the more that I talk, I feel like the worse that it gets. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I know that I couldn't really talk in depth about aging because I feel like 30s is like kind of like where it starts to hit you that you're aging, but you're not really like concerned about that too much yet. But I know that some people are, and I personally struggle with the fear of aging. So I thought I would share with you anyway, like my thoughts on the topic, and I hope that some of you could relate to it. I'm so happy that you were able to join me on this week in my life. Definitely let me know if you want me to talk about other topics concerning people in our late 20s to early 30s. I love talking very deeply about things that concern me personally, but definitely like it concerns other people too, so that's why I talk about it. But anyway, I'm gonna end the video right now. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.